Welcome to our meeting. Thank you for taking your time out of your day to be here. So let's get started. So I'm gonna start off with a question. Say you pull up to your local Costco and the parking lot's a mess. There are carts everywhere, there's trash everywhere, it's just disorganized. Who do you picture being out there pushing those carts every day, all day? Okay, moving forward. You go inside, you see the clothing area, it's a mess. Who do you picture folding those clothes? Do you associate a certain gender to each of those roles? If you do, that's called unconscious bias. And it happens everywhere, it happens every day. And that's what we're gonna talk about. We're gonna try to stop it, we're gonna try to move past it, and we're going to learn to have everyone be able to do any job at any time. So, what is unconscious bias? Unconscious bias is when we stick a social stereotype on a certain group that we form outside of our own conscious awareness. So, for example, with the Costco example, we like to put women in more domestic areas like clothing or putting shoes away or putting go backs away because it's not as hefty, not as like harder to do necessarily. And so we put the men outside doing the heavy lifting, doing the pushing out in the sun, and we don't even ask the women if they want to do anything else. We just assume they want to go to those more domestic areas because they are a woman. And it may not even be something we realize, or it is, and let's try to get away from that and see what we can change with that. So we're going to talk about two specific segments of unconscious bias. The first one is going to be gender bias. So starting out with the first point of why we should steer away from this unconscious bias of putting women in more domestic areas and men more in heavy lifting areas. So we say heavy lifting. So basically, everyone that's entry level, they all get paid the same. So why are we putting women in one place and men in the other place just because of their gender? Everyone gets paid the same, so everyone should be trained the same. And this way, we can have everyone able to do any task at any call. We can pull a woman from clothing, a woman from carts, a man from clothing to go cashier or to go do go backs or to whatever. We can give them the opportunity to learn different areas of the company. In this case, Costco as our example. So we can, once they clock in, once they get back from their break, we can say, can you do carts to whoever? Who wants to do carts? Who can do clothing? Who can cashier? Who can do go backs? And assume that anyone can do any of those jobs instead of just like going the easy way and imagining or letting ourselves imagine that, well, the woman's probably gonna want to go to clothing and the guys probably want to go outside with the guys and push the carts. It's the unconscious bias that could get us into trouble, which is leading to what could eventually happen if we continue with this pattern, which would be lawsuits or claims of misogynistic decisions and sexism and stuff that could really hurt the company's name and brand. And offering the opportunity of doing other sections or segments of the company can really steer away from having those lawsuits and having those issues and like letting our workplace environment be a comfortable workplace environment and not to be stressful or oh, I'm probably gonna go to clothing or I'm probably gonna go to carts or they didn't even ask me what I wanted to do. It just creates a more comfortable work environment. The second segment of unconscious bias that we will be talking about today is ageism. And this one is a touchy subject and it's hard with whatever crowd you're working with. So for example, we can assume when we see an older gentleman, an older lady, if they need help loading things, if they need help with whatever, we just assume they need help. We don't even ask, we just assume because they're older. And some people may not look at it as helpful or gentlemanly or being just a helpful person. They're gonna think that they can't do it. You think that they can't do it because they're older. And so we need to steer away from that, because we can't just assume that they want our help because we're younger than them. Instead of saying, can I help you with this, ask, do you need help with this? Or vice versa. Second, with younger people, just giving them easy jobs to do busy work and have not really worthwhile goals, to just give them easier jobs because they're younger, and we don't assume that they can do a more qualified job, a more tough job because they're not as experienced, but instead training them and teaching them what this job entails and how they can get to the top and how they can learn to be more experienced. It's just going to be more helpful for the company and help them move along in their career path. So I hope today we took away a lot from this meeting, and that we can think twice before we send people out on delegate jobs, and how we talk to people and customers, and to just be self-aware at the end of the day. Thank you.